Brown. Gregory.
He's here.
Shore.
Here.
Washington. Weber.
Quorum being established, we'll go into the hearing part of the committee, and we're going to start with Senator Moon. Did I say Moon or? Yeah, Senator Moon. Senator Moon, you can proceed when you're ready on Senate Bill 952. Oh yeah, really quick too. We're going to limit testimony because we have four hearings and there's a lot of folks here to testify. So if we're going to limit it to 2 minutes, if possible. We'll let the sponsor take the time that he or she needs, and we'll go from there. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, for allowing me to present Senate Bill 952. Often we talk about this as the SEPA bill. I know there's lots of different ways to pronounce it, but I prefer SEPA today. I bet there are some of you on the committee today, and maybe some out in the audience, who have turned in a paper to a professor in college and had that paper returned with a lot of red marks on it. And there have been times where I've received a paper and not really wanting to rewrite the whole thing, and the professor didn't have that intent. They merely wanted me to correct what was redlined. And so that made it a little bit easier on me to be able to go back and just pick out the things that were not approved, make those changes, submit it, and look forward to getting 100% passing score. That's kind of what happened with Senate Bill 85 back in 2021 when it was passed. Of course, I voted in favor of that bill, and I think many probably in here did the same thing. And so what happened was legal challenges commenced almost immediately. We saw most recently the Eighth Circuit take that and put some red lines in it. So what we do now is we have this bill that we have submitted, and we've made some adjustments to it. We really haven't changed anything in it substantially except what the court objected to. And if it pleases the chairman, I have copies of the decision if you'd like to have those. Okay?
Yeah, we can distribute those, Senator.
Thank you. While those are being passed around, let me go through a few things here, if I may. There is a doctrine that is referred to as the anti-commandeering doctrine. If my memory is correct, it goes back to the slave days. There were states that had slaves and approved of it, and there were states that did not approve of slaves. And when a slave would escape from a slave state and go to a free state, they were essentially free, except someone got the idea that whoever came into contact with those slaves should return them to their slave owners. This was the federal government trying to put their noses into places where they shouldn't really be. And I think Senator from the 9th will probably agree with me that there was a case that was brought to the Supreme Court. It was called Prigg versus Pennsylvania, that said, look, the federal government should not force me or anyone around me to find a slave or apprehend a slave and take them back to their slave owners. And this was taken to the Supreme Court at the time, and the Supreme Court agreed that the federal government cannot commandeer the resources of a particular state and make them do something that the federal government wants to do. There are probably at least a dozen, I think probably even 13 or 14 now, cases that have gone to the Supreme Court on that very premise of anti-commandeering. And so the basis of the SEPA bill is to say that the federal government cannot require and force Missouri, law enforcement or otherwise, to fulfill a federal edict or law. That's the premise of it. The other has to do with the supremacy clause. And if you look at that in Article 6, there is a phrase there that talks about all the laws that are federal laws and other laws by the states that are made in pursuance of the Constitution. That's the key there, in the pursuance of the Constitution, that they would be the supreme law of the land. When you consider the basic premise of SEPA, it is primarily focusing on our ability, our God-given right and ability to protect ourselves and our families as we see fit. So the supremacy clause, if you're saying that there's a federal law now that the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals says that Missouri, you can't do this because you're violating the supremacy clause. If the law that Missouri passes, which we did in Senate Bill or House Bill 85 in 2021, is based on the God-given premise of protecting ourselves and our families, then it is supreme, because the state nor the feds can take that away from us. It's just a basic God-given right. And so what has happened here with this bill, when you take those things into consideration, is that we are simply wanting to reenact all the functioning parts of the 2021 SEPA bill and do nothing else. As you look at the decision, and if you compare side by side the bills that we have back in 2021 and then in Senate Bill 952, that is the intent of this particular Senate Bill 952, to simply do what we've already done, what's been agreed upon, but in a way that doesn't offend the Eighth Circuit Court. So if you would want me to, and I know we're limited time, so I'm going to ask this question and do the pleasure of the committee. If you want me to go through the changes, I can do that. I can provide the committee members with a side-by-side from 1921 or 2021 Senate Bill 85 and also the Senate Bill 952 so you can see. But if it would be more efficient in time, I'd be glad to take questions and do my best to answer those at this point.
Thank you, Senator. Questions for Senator Moon? Senator Washington, go ahead.
Hi, Senator Moon.
Hello, Senator Washington.
Good morning.
Good afternoon to you,
Can y'all
too.
hear me? Because this, okay. One, I didn't really like your slave reference, but that's okay.
But it's true, Senator.
But is it true, though? Because, Drew, what's his name? Dred Scott, they brought him back to Missouri so he could continue to be a slave. So let's move on from that.
And that is, Senator,
let's move on from that.
a black
let's
mark
talk
on our
about this
society.
bill. So one of my concerns, because as conservatives, and I'm not a conservative, but I am conservative with the state's funding.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fighting this for several years, and we've gone to federal courts. How much money have we spent in legal fees on this? Do you know?
How much money? I don't know. Can you tell me?
No, because I don't think that we should keep asking the Supreme Court to answer a question that they've already answered twice and said no. So, and I'm not the one bringing this, so I would think that we would kind of know. But I will get that information as to how much financially it's costing us to continue to go to the Supreme Court until we get, quote unquote, the answer that we want. It's kind of like when your child asks you for candy and you say no 17 times, but they keep asking you and asking you and asking you so that you can make the change. So as I understand it, the way this bill, some of the changes, we would still, our local police departments would still be prevented from working with the federal agencies, correct?
As long as they're not violating a Missouri Second Amendment law, they can cooperate as often as they
So
wish.
where in the bill does it say that? So are the fines eliminated in this to $50,000? Because my officers can't afford no $50,000 fines.
The premise of the bill, Senator, is based upon the fact that we don't want to violate the Second Amendment.
In the essence of time,
you were
I
late to
just
the
want you
party.
to point to the part of your bill.
You were late to the party, Senator. If you were to submit a paper to your college professor and they redlined it and sent it back, would you correct those mistakes and resubmit it?
Not if it's going to cost people a whole lot of money.
I'm talking about you and the professor.
I would appeal it to the president of the university.
And that's what we're
after
trying
he
to
has
do.
said no twice, then I probably would not continue to do that, and I would accept my loss. But that's not the answer to the question. The question I just asked you is to point to me where it's still okay for our local officers to work with federal agencies to, without fear of retribution.
As long as they're not violating federal law.
Point to me in your bill. So if you need to take a moment to do that, like in court, we give you something and we say, review it so that you actually know what you're talking about. Can you do that for me real quick? And for those listening, I love me some Mike Moon, and he knows that. So if I sound rough, that's how I sound on all senators.
I'm looking at page 5, and I hope this will be the answer that will be sufficient for you, Senator. One of the
What line, Senator?
on page 5, section 1.420. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, this didn't go to the Supreme Court, by the way. The 8th Circuit said they did not like this particular segment. The following federal acts, laws, executive orders, administrative orders, rules, and regulations shall be considered infringements on the people's rights to keep and bear arms, as guaranteed by the Second Amendment, or the Amendment 2 of the Constitution.
You're taking that out, right?
We are taking that out.
Okay, so I want to know where can our officers, and mind you, this case, this may not have gone to the Supreme Court, with this case, but SAPA has gone to the Supreme Court before. You would agree, right? Because this is our second bite at the apple. This case that I was just handed, and your bill is our third bite at the apple, right? At least since I've been in the building, this appears to be the third bite at the apple.
I'm going to continue if you'll allow me to.
And I
What
apologize,
we're
Mr. Chair,
changing
I'm not
this
even
is
going
the
to
state
belabor
of
it.
Missouri and any of its political subdivisions, as well as the public officials, employees, or agents of the state and any of its political subdivisions shall have no authority to assist in the enforcement of the following types of federal acts. As long as they don't do this, they will have the authority and ability to do this.
So basically,
Laws, executive orders, administrative orders, rules and regulations within the borders of this state, including but not limited to, and then you can see all the different things that they shall not do. If you'll
So
turn
we can't
the page,
register-
looking under section
thank you. Thank you.
1.460
Senator,
on page
I don't have that
6.
much time, and I said thank you, so
I'm
I'm
tr-
asking you to stop.
I'm trying to answer
Okay, I got
your
a couple of more
question, Senator.
questions, okay?
Do you want the answer to your question?
Not if you have to read the whole bill. I want you to know your bill
On-
well enough to show me where our
On page
officers can
6,
still.
as long as they are not knowingly breaking the law, then they can do that. And that's in several different
But
sections.
in that, our officers cannot participate in the registration of firearms. So where I live, now I don't know what happened down in your part of town, although 44 is a place known for lots of drug and gun trafficking. You live close to US Interstate 44, right?
Pretty close.
So our officers would not be able to work with the federal tracing for ballistics and guns. We would be prevented from, I don't know what y'all do down there, but sometimes what we do is our officers and even our prosecutors, who are sometimes considered law enforcement as well, they're able to work with the feds, like go take a temporary assignment
Right.
with them or something like that to help
Right.
with a case. So this would not allow them to do that. But I'm not going to belittle that. We know that I hate this bill, and I'll just fight you on the floor. And that is all for my questions for you. But I would think that with what's going on in our country right now, especially with federal agents, that we would want our local police departments to be able to protect their citizens, as well as work with federal agencies to investigate things that are going wrong. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Senator Shore, go ahead.
Just briefly, this bill is very similar to the other Second Amendment Preservation Acts, to where state law enforcement can continue working with federal officials, just not on unconstitutional gun seizures, correct?
I tried to say that. I didn't say it as well as you did. So that's exactly what it is.
I'm glad I can clear up a little bit of that confusion. So if there's a drug case, for example, I know when the last Second Amendment Preservation Act had been signed into law, it had gone into effect, I believe it was being challenged. We saw from the city of St. Louis County, they were still working with the federal government on a lot of drug cases that happened to bring in, and I think Senator Bratton presented his bill last week or the week after, and the police officers were saying, yes, they were still able to apprehend illegal firearms during that time. They just couldn't collaborate with law enforcement if the sole purpose was going after people's guns. Does this bill still do that same thing where federal officials can continue working with state officials for other lawful purposes?
I'll just say it this way, Senator, and I think you probably know the answer as well, that as long as they're not violating a resident of Missouri's rights to keep and bear arms, law enforcement can participate with the federal officials anytime they want. And I know that Senator Washington asked about the drugs and things like that move through the state. Those are not out of bounds for participating with federal officials. The defining line is whether or not what is being done cooperatively will violate the Second Amendment for a Missourian. And that's really the bottom line.
Thanks. Any other questions for the senator? Thank you, Senator. We had a discussion on this law and to some extent last week too. So I know there'll be a lot of people testifying for and against that have general ideas about this law. I appreciate if you keep it under 2 minutes. We are going to be pretty. We're going to stick to that 2-minute time frame because we are limited and we have 4 bills that we need to hear today. So we'll start with in favor. We'll jump back and forth in favor and against. So the first in favor, go ahead and hop up. You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Ron Calzone, one of the directors of Missouri First. And before I begin my testimony, I do want to deliver 182 witness forms from people that were not able to be here. I'll put them in a separate pile up here because I might know you might do something different with them. So there are a couple of things about Senator Moon's bill that I think are particularly noteworthy. One of them is the fact that, as he said, all we are doing is following the roadmap that the Eighth Circuit gave us. I like the way he explained it with marking a paper. They told us what was wrong and they told us what was right, and they pointed out that we can do the anti-commandeering. So I think you have a copy of the opinion. You can read it for yourself. The second thing I really, really like about it is the fact that the best constitutional attorney, in my opinion, in the state, the one who wrote the original Second Amendment Preservation Act, wrote this bill. So Dave Rowland is the guy that wrote this bill. He has been litigating it through the whole process. He knows it better than anybody, and he did just what was necessary to satisfy the Eighth Circuit. The third thing I like about it is this bill has what I call a lockdown title. And so this bill is not going to necessitate a lot of debate and a lot of amendment on the floor. You can't do it because of the title. Now I want to answer the question that Senator Washington had. If you would look at page 6, and look at starting on line 8, actually starting on line of the bill, page 6 of the bill, starting on page 7, it says, nothing in this act shall be construed to prohibit Missouri officials from accepting aid from federal officials in an effort to enforce Missouri laws. The Second Amendment Preservation Act has always been about Missouri laws for Missourians. I'm sorry? Beginning in line 7, right after the grade area. Okay, then if you look at some subsequent pages, there are a lot of exceptions that Senator Shore was alluding to. So if a federal gun charge or prosecution is ancillary to a certain type category of
Calzone,
drug charges.
That's your time.
Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Calzone? Senator Washington, go ahead.
One quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The language that you just pointed out to me, is this brand new language to this bill, or has this been in the previous separate versions as well?
That's always been there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Now, someone here to testify in opposition to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, Scott Swain, representing the Missouri Police Chiefs Coalition, a legislative coalition. I want to go on record in opposition. Several things happened. We've had a lot of really good conversation over the last probably year since we dealt with this last session. A couple of good questions have been raised. We're willing to sit down and do it. Bottom line is the $50,000 lawsuit is problematic. And we think, Senator Shore, to just correct a little bit about what you said, we participated in a lot of task forces, but when the original bill went through, we pulled back completely, the entire state. Senator Schnelting raised a really good question last week in the hearing on Senator Bratton's bill. He said, how many of these lawsuits occurred? And the answer was 0. And the reason being is we pulled back completely to wait and see what the court was going to decide. And then now we're starting to slow roll to engage back in these joint task forces, if you will, across the board. We still think it's problematic, but it doesn't really matter what we think. The insuring companies that insure us, that insure the local municipality or the police department themselves, they're telling us they will not insure us. Now, we're going to play a mean game of chicken if this bill passes, and we're going to figure out what they are willing to do or what those premiums are going to look like on the back end. That's a problem. So we're willing to sit down, roll up our sleeves with Senator Moon, Bratton, and the like, and figure something out. I think it's time to happen. I know the chiefs will be reaching out to Aaron Dorr tomorrow and having another conversation with him. But this bill, as it states right now, while it may satisfy the court, it doesn't satisfy the local subdivisions. And that's a problem for us. We think we can still do our job. Senator Gregory has a bill, Senator Bean has a bill. There's no punitive in it, but it does state where people are and where the state of Missouri is on the Second Amendment, and we're good with that one.
Mr. Swain, questions for the witness. Senator Weber, go ahead.
My understanding, I believe you live in Columbia. you live in Columbia?
I do.
As obviously I do, and I know that our town over the last year has been through. I mean, a lot. There's been multiple shootings. The person I grew up with was killed last week. Actually,
I sang in my church.
Yeah. And a couple weeks, probably about 2 months ago now, there was an operation. It was Operation Brightside. It was a joint operation between different task force, anti-violence task force. Off the top of my head, I think it was around 33 fugitives that were rounded up and arrested.
Sounds familiar.
And I talked to the folks in law enforcement in Columbia, and they said that task force that they used had been stood down under the previous SAPA because of the issue you brought forward. And it was everybody in my community. I mean, like, I'm sure you saw this too, Democrats, Republicans, everybody in town was excited and glad that this operation occurred, and they got 33 fugitives off the street. Mm-hmm. From your perspective about the Police Chiefs Association, and I understand the legal argument that's being made, but you were saying even beyond that, there's a practical, like if the insurance. My concern is that task force being shut down and being unable to execute search warrants jointly to get dangerous people off the streets of my hometown.
True.
Is there reason to be concerned that if this language passes, even if it is constitutional, even if it is, and I don't know if it is or not, but even if it is, that insurance carriers may not provide coverage and my local police department might be forced to withdraw from that task force again?
I think the answer is yes. And it may not be where the insurance company doesn't insure. It may just mean the premium goes through the roof, one way or the other. So that's of concern to us.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Further questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Swain.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else here to testify in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon. I'll speak a little quickly. My name is Ike Skelton. I'm the presiding commissioner of Camden County. In 2021, when SAPA was being discussed, the Camden County Commission introduced our Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance. becoming the first county in Missouri doing so in solidarity with the proposed language in SAPA. The ordinance passed unanimously with broad public support. During my first year in office, 2023, a vigilant employee in our planning and permitting department forwarded an email from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms requesting information about certain FFL holders within Camden County. I thanked our employee for being vigilant and sending me the email. After interviewing the FFL holders mentioned in the email and careful consideration, including getting other elected officials within the county on board, I held a press conference to advise citizens of the nature of the situation and read a letter I sent to the ATF. I have a copy of that I'll put with my hearing. Although the ATF attempted to shame us and make false claims about lost revenue and lack of licensing to scare local FFL holders and retailers, nothing else occurred. The affected FFL holders were grateful for our stand and faced no repercussions because of it. To date, there have been no known punitive measures or refusals of licensing or retail operations in Camden County as a result of enforcing our ordinance. Our ordinance has never been challenged. There have been no repercussions to the county in the form of refusals of cooperation from the federal government or insurance denials, nor any rate increases, and we still have this ordinance in place. As a matter of fact, this has never been brought up about the insurance at all, and when I sent this letter to the ATF, it went viral across the country, so it's not like they didn't know. As I believe it is the responsibility the original language of the Missouri Second Amendment Preservation Act is near perfect. Despite the fact that federal authorities nor federal judges seem to like history lessons, substantive language invoking the anti-commandeering doctrine was not challenged. To me, the law was struck down for style, not substance. As I believe it is a responsibility for each elected official to interpose on behalf of their constituents, I also believe it is the responsibility of the state to give us the tools to do so. Therefore, I believe it only natural to remove the offensive language and retain the original tested language and spirit of the original SAPA and support SB952 as written and proposed in response to federal court
Mr.
guidance.
Skelton, that's your time.
Thank you.
I do have a quick question. In your ordinance, did you have penalties?
We do not.
Okay. Any questions for this witness? Senator Washington, go ahead.
Yes, real quick. Thank you for coming up. Real quick, you said that the ordinance had a lot of public support. Did this go before a vote to the voters of Camden County?
No, it just went to the commission, but we hold public hearings. I'm quite honored to be probably the most open and transparent commission in the state, and I'll challenge them. Let's talk about it. But we bring people in. We let them talk to us. We engage with our citizens. We find out what they're really thinking, and this was very well attended, and they support the action of Camden County.
But not a vote?
No, it wasn't a public vote, no,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
No.
Any other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anybody else here to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 952? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Anybody else in favor of Senate Bill 952?
My leg's still awake. Just
Proceed when you're ready.
Edward Shepard or Tony Shepard and Gillett. I got in trouble for not introducing her, so that means I get 2 votes, right? Or 4 minutes.
She has to sign a witness form, though, so make sure.
Paw print will be on there.
Yeah.
We are highly in favor of it, as we have been when this was brought 2, 3, many years ago. Thank you, Senator. 4 years ago. When is the federal government going to get the idea that Second Amendment rights shall not be abridged? The feds always like coming in and getting their fingers in there. It just depends on which side of the feds you're talking about. When the state government gets involved in there and they come in with red flag and all kinds of neat, fun stuff from whatever party wants to bring it in, it all rolls down to one thing. My Second Amendment rights shall not be abridged. Leave me alone. If the state wants to cooperate with the feds in legal matters, which this bill does, they're more than entitled to. But all the scare tactics has been brought on and all the rhetoric that's been brought up behind this, it needs to be put to rest. It's a good thing that they've got going on. We're trying to straighten out the workings between the feds and the state, and let's get it right. Let's put the feds back where they belong. They can control the feds.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anybody, last chance for opposition to the bill? All right, anybody else in support of the bill?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring this back up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get a block print on there.
Hey, Mike. How are you? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Arnie C., AC Dinoff, State Public Advocate. And I agree in this bill, SB 952. There are needed adjustments, and the bill sponsor provided a good explanation. I believe that political subdivision shall have no authority to assist in the enforcement of certain federal acts, laws, executive orders, rules, regulations relating to firearms. The Second Amendment is our right. Government shall leave the issue alone, in my opinion. We have a federal and a state constitutional right. If someone is criminal, that's a different issue, and I believe that it would be held. That's just common sense. I believe the biggest part of this lawsuit before the Eighth Circuit was the $50,000 fine was the most major problem. But there needs to be some accountability of law enforcement. They just can't run rampant. I believe in our federal and state laws and the right to bear arms. I also believe that this bill shall add an amendment to eliminate sales taxes on all weapons and ammunition. In my opinion, it should be the duty of the courts and law enforcement agencies of our Missouri to protect the right of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms within the borders of our state, and to protect these rights from infringements defined under Section 1.420. The fiscal note is alarming, puts up a red flag for me. It's unknown, and I'm not sure exactly why staff decided that it's unknown on that fiscal note. But overall, this is a common sense legislation. Let's try to save any infringement and correct the issues that were brought out by the 8th United States District Circuit.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Dinoff.
Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for this witness? Thank you for your testimony, and Senator Moon will be happy to put a bunch of new provisions on your bill to open up the title for you. Any other supporters of the bill? Anybody else in opposition? Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none, Senator Moon, any closing remarks, or would you like to be done? Thank you. Thank you, Senator Moon. We'll move on to Senator Nicola on Senate Bill 1087. Senator, proceed when you're prepared.
Chairman and members of the committee, thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you Senate Bill 1087. For the record, I'm Senator Joe Nicola. I represent the District of 11, which is the northeast corner of Jackson County. Senate Bill 1087 is about public safety and about supporting law enforcement in our communities while maintaining the important reforms Missouri enacted in 2015. I want to begin with some real data from the city of Independence. In 2014, Independence issued 36,460 traffic citations. In 2024, that number dropped to about 22,000 citations, which was roughly a 41% reduction. At the same time, the number of cases actually resolved has fallen dramatically. In 2014, 66% of traffic cases were resolved. Today, that number is just 15%. So while fewer tickets are being written, the number of citations that go unresolved has increased by more than 50%. And Independence is not alone. Other municipalities across Missouri are experiencing the same trend. Municipal court reform in 2015 was necessary. These included payment plans, eliminating jail time for minor traffic violations, prohibiting extra charges for failure to appear, and protecting indigent defendants from fines they cannot afford. Those reforms were well-intentioned and important. However, we have learned since then that the reform went a little too far, and some areas produced unintended consequences. Today, law enforcement officers are increasingly unable to ensure compliance with traffic laws or hold repeat offenders accountable. That directly impacts public safety. The Independence Police Department patrols 99 miles of state and federal highways, including major corridors like Interstate 70, US 40, US 24, routes.
Senator, I'm really sorry. Is your microphone on? There you
is
go.
now.
There you go. Thank you.
You want to start over?
Please don't
I
start
thought
over.
I thought I'd just do this
You're
backwards.
doing a great
Read it
job.
from
I'm
the
sorry
end.
to-
Go forward.
Senator Weber doesn't have say over that, but thank you.
You may need to turn your hearing aids, just tweak them. Senate Bill 1087 restores judicial discretion. Under Senate Bill 1087, if a defendant fails to appear on a second court date and does not resolve their citation, a judge may, not must, request that the Department of Revenue suspend the defendant's driver's license. This flexibility matters. A judge can account for real-life circumstances, such as a single working mother who genuinely could not appear, and even if a license is suspended, the defendant can still obtain a hardship license to drive to work or other court-approved destinations. At its core, Senate Bill 1087 simply gives judges a meaningful tool to address repeat noncompliance and protect the public. Senate Bill 1087 brings balance, accountability, and it helps restore respect for the rule of law without rolling back important reforms. I respectfully ask for your support of Senate Bill 1087. And with that, I have several people that would like to testify in support, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the senator? Senator Washington, go ahead.
Thank you for bringing this, since I'm probably the only one on this committee that deals with this on an almost daily basis. You want to expand the limited driving privileges, right? It's a question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, what are judges to do if someone continues to be a repeated offender for having a suspended license?
That's up to the courts.
So
And
this
I have-
is your bill, so
and I
what
do-
would
and I do
what
have
would the
some-
judges do?
I do have some people here that can testify that are directly.
Okay, you know I don't like that.
working with
It's your bill. I need you to understand your
Yeah.
bill a little bit and tell me what was your intent or what was your rationale behind this?
Well, I read that in my statement, and I can read it again if you like.
Uh-huh.
In 2014, Independence issued 36,460 traffic violations.
But you do understand that when you change a bill, it's not just Independence, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's
so
gonna
are
affect
you
everybody.
familiar with the issue in St. Louis where a young man who had repeated suspended licenses hit a young lady and caused her, I believe she lost her legs, is that right? She lost her legs. And so, how would you address something like that?
Well, this bill doesn't directly address that. It addresses another issue that we have that's going on from a bill that was passed in 2015.
Well, the 2015 made it good. We don't put people in jail anymore, and we don't suspend their license for failure to pay their traffic ticket. So you're
if
asking
they're
to
not-
go another step?
So if they're not going to pay their traffic ticket and they have two opportunities to do that and they miss court cases, do we just let them go?
Well, we don't, we do issue warrants after a certain time. We don't charge them anymore for missing court. We do issue warrants so that will, I don't know, make them come to court. Usually a warrant makes you show up, whether that's the sheriff, the police, or the bondsman bringing you in. But have you actually spoke to the prosecutors on this or the judges in municipal courts?
No, but I have spoken to my chief of police in both Independence and Grain Valley as well.
Okay, but not the impact, because they write the tickets, but the impact is going to be on our courts. And if I recall, Independence doesn't actually have a full-time municipal court that sees these matters every day. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so do you know the cost this would, for them to have that discretion? And let me go back. Do you understand what giving judges discretion in other jurisdictions, what that does?
Yeah, but you can explain that to me since you're an
Well, if
attorney.
you understand, I don't need to. This ain't got nothing to do with attorney, but this is just human nature. So the reason we have laws is so that everybody's justice can be the same. And if we let a judge just make his own rule, now, there are some places where judges get discretion, but
Yeah, in quite a few places in law, that's correct.
in sentencing, let me make that real clear for you. So our statutes are pretty clear, but now let me say that I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I ain't got no problem with my people having an expanded
hardship, but I do think that this places extra hardship on our officers to determine how do I prove that this is where you were going, and it also puts a tremendous amount of hardship on our court system where they're going to have to see more dockets. So Kansas City is one of those places that has a full-time municipal court docket where they see traffic tickets every single day, every day. And so that would put a lot more pressure on that. And also it would mean that if I like you, I can let you go, but if I don't like the next guy, since you changed from a shall to a may, then I get to do what I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of is a slap in the face of to why we do what we do with the laws anyway. But thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions for the senator? Seeing none. Who here, by raise of hands, who's here to testify on the bill for it? Who's against it? All right. You have 2 minutes. We're going to be pretty stringent on time. So first testimony for it, please step forward and go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. John Mayfield, the City of Independence. We want to thank Senator Nicola for bringing this bill forward and having this dialogue. And our prosecutor had been here for the original hearing, but they have court Tuesday through Thursday, so the prosecutor couldn't make it. But I will make sure that we get any answers to the committee that you need. I'm not going to regurgitate. Okay. I've got an email that says something different, so we'll have to touch base on that. But as the senator mentioned, we don't want to undo the needed reforms of the past. And this bill does not do that. It gives judges flexibility, as the senator said. A few years ago, the Kansas City Star visited our municipal court. We had 360 cases on the docket. 7 people showed up. And it led them to write an editorial entitled, "There's no punishment for not showing up to court, how Missouri defendants get off easy." That's the Kansas City Star. We're seeing an increase in fatal car crashes. And according to a 2023 article in St. Louis Post-Dispatch, they're also seeing a similar trend. They're writing fewer tickets, but seeing more fatal car crashes. We're not saying this bill is going to solve everything, but we have a problem, and it's been going on for about 10 years. We need to have dialogue to figure out a path forward. We think that this bill would do that. We think a hardship license that gives, expanded opportunities for people to get a driver's license in the event their license is suspended. We don't want put people out of work. What we're doing isn't working. We just want to have dialogue so we can find a path forward that works for everyone. We supported the reforms of 10 years ago. We don't want to go back to that. We think that was a horrible system. So I think my time's just about up. So I just want to thank the committee for hearing my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you for testimony. Questions, Senator Washington?
Real quick, I know you mentioned about like people missing court or missing their job. Does Independence have virtual court?
I could not answer that with 100% certainty, Senator. I would be happy to find out and get that answer right away.
Because that does help a lot of people not miss court.
I know
the
that
the WebEx option, which in our area in Kansas City, quite a few of the courts actually use virtual court.
I think in some
so
of our
that
cases
people
we do,
are every case for Kansas City can be virtual at some point.
Yeah, I will double check that because I don't want to tell you anything that's incorrect.
Okay, if you could get back with me on that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anybody else here in favor of the bill? Go ahead and hop up here. We're not going to jump back and forth. We'll just go through in favor, then in opposition.
Thank you, Chairman and committee members. My name is Pat Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of the Municipal League of Metro St. Louis. We'd just like to go on record in support of Senate Bill 1087. The current system isn't working. We're not holding those violators of the minor traffic violations accountable. We hope that this will be an added tool to help our police officers who are, to a certain extent, demoralized by the current system. And we just want to go on record to support the bill. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for testimony. Anybody else here in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Laura Holloway. I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Municipal League. And just to follow up on previous testimony and record in support of the bill, statewide issue, and this just offers a tool to address some of the issues about failure to appear. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Senator Washington, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Are you familiar with the Attorney General's reports on how many, on the demographics of who's actually stopped for traffic tickets in the state?
I do not have that information, no.
Okay. Do you, as the Municipal League, have any numbers like that that shows who's actually being stopped and like what their demographics are in terms of where their zip codes are, what their ages are, their races, their sex?
Sure. So our organization does not track that information. We could certainly, reach out to some members.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up is because I know one of the changes is to go back to suspending the license after one miss, which is what we used to do. And as a criminal defense attorney who makes their money off of tickets, obviously I would love that because that's going to make you hire me faster. However, considering who we actually are giving traffic tickets to, I understand that there can be some challenges, and that's why it was changed to the 2 in the first place, because oftentimes you get the ticket that might have your court date on that, and if you lose that, you might not get anything else to tell you when that ticket is, so you might miss that first court date. Every court system doesn't have the money to send out that first notice, but they do have the money to send out the warrant. So I just think that's just something, that I'd like for you to see if you can get me some of those numbers, because our poor folks, like I think the last witness talked about, one of the witnesses talked about missing work to go to court or whatever the case may be. And then a follow-up for you or the senator is to see, who has virtual court that provides, that alleviates some of those missing court issues if you have virtual court. You can just, I'll use for an example, one of my favorites is Platte City. They have virtual court, so or Riverside, so you can just zoom in, hear it. We'll even ding you when it's your time or whatever. So, but if we can learn who has virtual courts that are alleviating some of the missing courts, and also who's actually being stopped and who's most affected if we change the law back to one suspension.
Great.
Suspension after one court date miss.
Sure. I'll
Thank
see
you.
what I can find. I may follow up with you to make sure I've got
That's fine.
exactly
Thank
what you're
you.
looking for.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anybody else here in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Chappell. I'm the court administrator for the city of O'Fallon. I'm here to support 1087. I've been in my position for over 20 years. I've seen a lot of changes, good and bad, within municipal courts in Missouri. I'm not here to say that Senate Bill 5 wasn't needed, and there have been many changes since then that have been great for the administration of justice. There's just one unintended consequences that the courts would like to have again. There are many changes in municipal courts from the removal of the ability to suspend driver's license for moving violations was taken away. It's created a lack of compliance for completing a violation with the court. The tool was a great resource in helping get compliance with the violations written. The police are trying to help create a culture of safety with enforcement of local traffic violations, and when the defendant continues to fail to appear in the court has limited resources. The percentage of people appearing has decreased knowing there's less consequences. Some stats from O'Fallon alone show that between 32 to 42% don't appear in court. There are some great changes. While Senate Bill 5, especially for the public, all courts are on the state court system now and can be found in one location on CaseNet. This also allows to show compliance to the courts in the notices and the suspensions and the releases that can all be public on CaseNet. This is the 4th year we've been to the Capitol here. We've been voted out of committee each year. I'm just hoping that we can be successful and get it across the finish line. They've had some great changes with Senate Bill 5. We'd just like to see one of those changes reinstated to help the compliance with the courts and hold people responsible for the violations. This is exactly the same bill that's in the House, House Bill 1988. So thank you for your time, and I'm open for any questions.
Questions? Senator Washington, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Sure.
What traffic violations would you want to see that would necessitate or elicit a suspension after missing court one time?
It's twice. Missing court twice.
Right, but this bill, we change it back to once.
No.
Okay.
The bill still has twice.
So what traffic violations would that include? Because
Okay.
I know that I know a young lady who got a suspended, an expired tag from your city some years ago. They were never mailed anything, and I know that person very well.
and they were stopped in Atlanta and placed in jail because of a warrant. But it was for a tag, and this is before SB5. So what violations would you say would be involved in this?
Okay.
Would we go back to any traffic violation? Because one of the reasons that I am against the may versus the shall is because technically that is a traffic violation to have a suspended, or an expired tag. But is that one that should cause my license to be suspended? And that has happened in the past, as you know.
Okay. It actually says moving violations, so
Okay.
expired is not a moving violation. But why should someone not be eligible that doesn't show up on 18 over, but it's speeding, but 20 over, we can suspend?
I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about
I
the
understand,
tag
but you
person.
asked which violations.
Okay,
So
yeah.
speeding, why is 18 over any different than 20 over if you're in the city of a 35 or 40 mile
It's
an hour
not. It's
zone?
part of the same statute, actually.
But you can suspend on a 20 over, but you can't suspend on 18. People that have no insurance that are driving around, it's a 4-point moving violation in the state. If they have valid insurance, it's dismissed completely.
Correct.
But if they don't show up twice, that means they probably don't have insurance because they
Or
couldn't
what
just
time
provide it.
what time do you all have court in O'Fallon?
We have day court, we got 9 a.m., 11:30, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Okay,
We have
and,
court-
and that is great,
Right.
because some
Yeah, we
places,
have- we have
Kansas City
virtual-
doesn't have night
We have
court.
online forums, we have all kinds of
Okay.
opportunities.
So then I would say that that's great for you, and I think that's a wonderful court system. Independence doesn't have that. If they can't get to Independence, and I'll tell you another issue in Independence is there are 3 courthouses. So if they don't know where they're going, and they miss court, depending on who the judge is, they may or may not give them an opportunity to not have a warrant that day. So I would be more than willing to work with you all on some things that happened, because I would have loved to see some people that have been affected. I appreciate you coming because you are an actual court administrator, but to see some prosecutors and some defense attorneys that this will affect, as well as some drivers. And I'd be happy to work with you on that. But I don't have a problem with people being suspended, because again, that's how I make my living. Suspend them all day. But I do understand the nuances that come with that, with a quick suspension, what that does for people's jobs, getting a passport or whatever the case may be, and considering so many people don't actually understand that if they don't change their driver's license address, that everything goes to that old address. So they really may never know that they have a warrant. And you mentioned about CaseNet. I represent zip code 64124232728303132, and I can tell you that over 60% of the people do not have access to the internet, so they don't know anything about a CaseNet. And
But do you have a public library? All the public libraries.
they don't have access to cars. They don't have those things. So I represent really, really, really poor folks. So I knock a lot of doors, and I represent the community that I grew up in, so I know everything about my own community. And I do have people that, yes, we do have a library, but our buses don't run a lot, so they can't get to it. We have a senior citizen facility that's right down the street from one of our libraries, but my walker may not allow me to walk there, and there's no bus for me to get there, and I don't have enough money to get a Uber or a cab. And guess what else I don't have? I don't have internet service in my senior living facility. So I just think that those are some considerations that we need to think about. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions for the witness? Seeing none, we're going to have to keep support to 1 minute. Anybody else in here to support the bill? Short and sweet, please.
Short and sweet.
We got 2 more bills to get to.
Not a problem. You'll see me again. Tony Shepard again, Abe from Missouri. I can tell you from the public driver's side of it, this is like getting a suspension in high school. We've got drivers out there that say count coup, and they tag up, hey, I got 3 warrants. I got a warrant 3 times for this, or I got this, I got that. Police officers out there have a hard time pulling you over doing their job right. When they do it right, they get in trouble. When they do it wrong, they get in trouble. They don't want to pull you over. So we got folks out there driving around on warrants. And just because you get a warrant, that doesn't mean that I got to jump down and go to court and see it. They don't care. How many can I get? Hopefully this might stop the rollover that we've got in there. We've got a couple occasions in there where we've got some traffic offenses, and a couple of those folks are dead because they didn't learn from it. A couple of those folks have injured other people. If they'd have gone to court, maybe something could have been done. Maybe. I don't know. That's all hypothetical.
Thank you for your testimony.
I like it.
Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Senator Washington, go
Do
ahead.
you have any specific examples where I was pulled over for a warrant and the police did not take me?
Do you want me to give you their names right now? I'm not going to be that snitch.
But you do have examples where people were pulled over by the police, had a warrant, and they were not taken?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. St. Charles County.
But that would be on the police, not the person with the driver,
That
right?
that would be on the officer if
Okay,
they
thank
wanted
you.
to bring them in for that offense or not.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no other questions, anybody else here to testify in favor? Arnie, you coming up here, or? Well, come on up. Make it quick.
The principal knows your name.
Mr. Dienoff, excuse me.
I know you don't.
As quickly as you can be, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Arnie C., AC Dienoff, State Public Advocate. You know, this is another taxation. We do not want to arrest moms and dads with children out in the field. We don't want to tow their vehicles, which is their asset. This is, in my opinion, just another tax or a debt. It's more money for reinstatement of a Department of Revenue driver's license, puts more burden, more hard times on families. License plate readers will be flagged. Police car readers and flock cameras will notify police sector cars that they're wanted and that there's a warrant out for their arrest. Sometimes, because of money, power, and control, the system wants to slam and jam up good citizens. No one is perfect, and Senator Schmidt's bill, SB5, passed in 2015, I was a huge supporter of. This bill can be used as an ugly weapon. O'Fallon had or has a full-time warrant office police officer. The fiscal note, yet another 2 full-time employees at $246,000 to take away from our Missouri Highway Fund. There needs to be additional notices to citizens, maybe a registered letter. These are people, not cash cows. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dienoff. Any questions? Senator Washington.
Yeah, real quick, you said that this would cost extra money to the drivers or something?
Yeah, if they got their license suspended, they're going to have to pay a huge reinstatement fee to the Department of Revenue and probably have to hire an attorney like yourself to help them maneuver through the process to get their license reinstated.
But they gonna have to pay fines anyway, right? Because they have a warrant. They'll have to pay a bondsman
Well, I don't know if they went to the trial process, if they missed the trial process.
Well, no, what these people, from the testimony I've heard, it's just missing court, which elicits a warrant. As a matter of fact, I don't even think you get a warrant in most municipalities for the first time. You usually get the notice that you're talking about, telling you that you missed court. But you're saying that don't suspend their license if they continue to miss court, because they may have other responsibilities or something of that nature?
Yeah, by suspending their license is going to cost them another
$7.50 or $20 or whatever it is.
another
It's $22.
Oh, with the court, not with the Missouri Department of Revenue.
No, with the Missouri Department of Revenue, it's $22.
Okay.
$22.
I'll have to check. That's yet another tax or another debt that they'd have to pay.
So what should happen for those who continue to miss court to the level of where it ends up getting their license suspended?
Well, I think some of the municipalities need to be more humanistic and more, we're common folks. They need to make a better method of reaching out to those people who aren't showing up to court.
So when the officer handed you a ticket, that's not a good method?
I think it's a good method. I think some municipalities go to the point of arresting. I've seen children being taken away.
But they don't arrest you until after you miss court and you have a warrant, right?
That's correct.
And you understand that you may or may not understand that there are different types of warrants, correct? Do you
Correct.
not know that?
Correct.
So with the bench warrant, I think my gentleman who thought I was picking on him, with a bench warrant, they don't usually arrest you anyway. They let you know.
But a body attachment would.
Yeah, and how many body attachments do you think they give out for speeding tickets?
In O'Fallon, I've seen it used a few times, which is not appropriate, and I think it could be used
So
as
you
an
think
ugly
our
weapon.
officers, and I believe the court administrator from O'Fallon, are saying, let's violate state statute and federal law by giving you a body attachment for a speeding ticket?
The city of O'Fallon did it to me personally.
How fast were you going?
It wasn't. It was going to a city council meeting, and they wanted to block my testimony at a city council meeting.
So that ain't a traffic ticket. Let's
Back in
stick with traffic tickets.
2021.
Let's stick with traffic
Yeah.
tickets.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stenoff. Anybody else here to testify in opposition?
Thank you.
Anybody here for informational purposes? That'll conclude the hearing. Senator Nicola, thank you very much. We're going to go to Senate Bill 1050, and Senator Schnelting's going to take over.
What? Just go ahead and proceed when you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Travis Fitzwater, State Senate District 10, bringing before you an autonomous vehicle bill. I think at the heart of it, we want to be an innovative state. Other states have allowed autonomous vehicles to function in their states, and this is the framework for Missouri to be able to do that. There are several witnesses that can come up and kind of talk about some of the dynamics in those other states. But autonomous vehicles are getting better. They're getting safer. They provide transportation on the roads that's necessary for a variety of reasons. And because of that, I filed this bill because I think our state ought to be innovative. It ought to have some of these innovative technologies available to Missourians. And so that's why I brought before you Senate Bill 1050. I'm glad to take any questions. Again, several witnesses that are experts in this space. I'm sure I'd be glad to answer questions, but I'd also be happy to answer questions.
Any questions for the bill sponsor? Senator Gregory, first.
You pick him first.
You've asked a lot of questions today already, Senator. I might have beat you with my hand up. I'm not sure. Does your bill as currently written pertain to what I would consider commercial vehicles, semis, et cetera?
Yeah, it has what you would consider like a Waymo or commercial vehicles. And this is the first year we've had the bill, so I think there's a lot of discussion to be had around how we play this out. But you know, commercial vehicles, especially CDL necessary vehicles, there's a huge need for drivers in our state. There's I think in 2025 alone, we had a 80,000 people need for drivers. And I think that is a $1.2 million 1.2 million drivers in the next 10 years. It's a necessity for our economy.
I agree it's a necessity. However, my version of a commercial vehicle is different than what the state statute version of commercial vehicle is. When I think of commercial vehicle, I think of a CDL. Obviously, you don't need a CDL to drive a car. I would assume to be a taxi cab driver, you might have to have a chauffeur's license, which I think is a Class F, is that correct? License involves some. Definitely open to talking about this subject, but I am very concerned with the potential of what I deem a commercial vehicle being a semi-truck, autonomously driving down the highway. Many different factors, many different rules and regulations go on the drivers of these vehicles. Then there's what I like to call the pucker factor when you're driving. If you've ever felt the load shift, the pucker factor. That's when you're driving around a curve and you feel some hay bales move behind you and you go, oh boy. Or maybe some steel pipe or steel coils or many other things that go up and down our roadways where that's when you go, oh boy, maybe I better stop and check my straps and make sure they're still tight, make sure the load hasn't shifted. So just concerns there that I would like to think we can work through.
I'm happy to have all those
come to an agreeable
conversations.
solution.
For sure. Thank you, Senator.
Further questions for the senator? All right, seeing none, we will enter into public testimony. We're going to limit it to 1 minute since we still have another bill to get to. We're pressed for time. For those in favor, go ahead and step up. We're just going to go ahead and change it from those in favor and then those opposed, and then informational purposes only. Just go ahead and state your name. Please make sure you have your form filled out and proceed when you're ready.
Sure. Thanks. Good afternoon, Chair Fitzwater and members of the committee. My name is Laura Daly, and I serve as the Midwest Policy Manager for Waymo. I also have letters here from Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the Epilepsy Foundation, Boys and Girls Club, and the AV Industry Association in support of the bill. I will leave those letters here. I want to extend our gratitude to Chair for this bill. I think this is an important step in bringing the accessibility, safety, and economic benefits of autonomous vehicles to Missouri. In passing Senate Bill 1050, Missouri will join more than half the country in enacting a clear framework for the commercial deployment of autonomous vehicles. This creates the regulatory certainty for companies like Waymo to invest in their communities, improve road safety, and offer new mobility options for Missourians. Waymo is an autonomous driving technology company with a mission to be the world's most trusted driver. We operate a fully autonomous ride-hailing service in Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Austin, as of last week, Miami. We also intend to launch in Denver, Detroit, Houston, Nashville, several other cities, as well as internationally in London and Tokyo. We announced in December that we will be mapping St. Louis. So what that
Sorry,
means...
your time has expired. Just go ahead and wrap up your thoughts real quick.
Sure, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the witness? Go ahead, Senator.
Mr. Chair, you're doing a fine job.
Thank you.
Just a couple questions.
Sure.
Has your company ever experienced any safety recalls or any sort of recalls?
Yes, I can tell you in October, we issued a voluntary recall associated with school bus encounters.
Okay, so I was going to ask, has your company had experiences where your vehicles have not stopped, or there have been issues around school buses when children are present?
Thanks for the question. Currently, there is an NTSB investigation, a field investigation, into the behavior of Waymos around school buses. What I can tell you is none of these encounters have led to collisions or near contact events, and we actually welcome an independent analysis of our safety performance. I can also tell you that the numbers are very strong here. We encounter thousands of school buses on a weekly basis, and we've had no safety incidents in those encounters. And we are working closely with NTSB, and we are sharing.
So what led, I mean, if there's been no safety issues, what led to the NTSB investigation?
They have broad discretion to open investigations, and so they are conducting a field investigation here.
Yeah, but I mean, just out of the blue, like nothing happened. They just went
No,
there
there was a
randomly.
series of events with behaviors of Waymos around school buses.
Okay, yeah. What I'm trying to get is
Sure.
what were those events? Why,
Sure,
I mean,
yeah, sure. Those were incidents where the Waymo did not stop fully around the school bus.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how about around? Has there been any incidents around emergency vehicles? Like,
No, the Waymo is designed to, when there is a public safety, vehicle, the lights engaged, they're designed to pull over to the side of the road and to get out of the way and to make sure that they're operating safely around public safety vehicles.
so there's been no issues with Waymo and public safety vehicles?
I can follow up with you, but none come to mind right now.
Okay, so when if a police officer were to give instructions to a Waymo vehicle,
Sure.
verbally, would the vehicle be able to respond to that?
Yes, so in that scenario, what happens, a police officer engages their lights, they pull
I'm saying verbally. If they stop.
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
do-
So what happens here is they pull over the vehicle, and there's a QR code on the car itself, and they can either connect to the QR code or there's a phone number they can call if their internet connection is an issue. And what happens is the windows will roll down. Our remote support team will engage through the speaker vehicles, and they will be able to talk to the police officer and address any issues.
Okay, so I just want to be super clear. So the procedure, the official procedure for a police officer to interact with a Waymo vehicle is to utilize a QR code and speak to a remote support team?
Yes, it's a trained team that's just for law enforcement, and they will be able to.
And they're all American citizens that are.
I'm not sure exactly where those folks are located. We are a global company. We have employees in the U.S. We have employees abroad as well.
Okay, so
But
it could
this
be
is-
India. It could be a police officer in the United States, in Missouri, in Saline County, could
This-
be interact in order to communicate with a Waymo vehicle. May have to go through India. Is that what you're telling me? Possibly.
I'm not sure on those specifics, but I can tell you it's a
So it's
dedicated
possible.
it's a dedicated team, and we really strive ourselves in working very closely with law enforcement. We also do law enforcement training ahead of time to make sure that they're aware of these vehicles and have understanding of the fact that we're going to be on the road.
Okay, I have some more questions, but I know we're running short on time, and so I'll save some later. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further questions for the witness? Senator Washington, please proceed.
I don't have a I apologize, I stepped out, but could you just get us I noticed that the number of accidents that you're involved in has increased. So could you correlate that, get me some information that shows the number of cars that you have put on the road to correlate with, maybe you're putting more cars, that's why you're having more accidents or whatever, and where you have them the most? I would appreciate that.
Thanks for the question. What I can tell you is
It
that
wasn't a question, I was trying to save time, just give me that information. Thank
yes,
you.
I think that the numbers here that are really important to get out
So
there
we
is over.
in time, I ain't trying to cut you off, but you don't have to answer, just provide
provide Senator Fitzwater that information
Sure.
to get that
Happy-
to us.
happy to
Thank
do
you.
that, sure.
And a follow-up to what he said, also provide the information as to where your databases are and where that information is coming from. When you are Waymo, when the Waymo car is out there, who is it communicating with respect to its GPS or however it runs?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we got to leave in 10 minutes.
I understand.
Further questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Continuing in this vein, those in favor, just come on up. Make sure you have your form filled out, and please proceed when you're ready, sir.
Hello, Chairman. Thank you to Senator Fitzwater for embracing technology's future. My name is Corey Marshall. I'm the Senior Director of State and Local Public Policy at the Chamber of Progress. I'm also a dad who believes in technology's ability to foster a safe environment, and I'm here today to support SB 1050. I want to start on a personal note. When my son was just 6 months old, my wife and I took him on a Waymo autonomous vehicle ride. Like any parent, I'm cautious about my child's safety, but I trusted that technology then and I trust it now. That experience reinforced what the data already shows. When deployed responsibly, AVs can make our roads safer. And safety is the core of this very bill. Nearly all serious traffic crashes are caused by human error, distraction, fatigue, or impairment. Missouri averages more than 1,000 traffic deaths each year, and too many of those lives could have been saved. AVs remove the most dangerous variable from the road, human error. SB 1050 creates a clear statewide...
I'm sorry, sir, your time's up. Can you just go ahead and, yes. We'll go ahead, we'll move right into questions. That way maybe you can finish your thoughts there.
Yes.
Go ahead, Senator Washington.
Real quick, who programs them? Is it human people or is it robots that programs the cars? Or?
I can testify that I have visited a Waymo facility in the state of Arizona at least 4 times, and there are humans actually working with the technology. With the
So I grew up, Senator Fitzwater knows this, I grew up in a computer programming house back
Yes,
when you
ma'am.
actually had to know math and Pascal and COBOL and Fortran, things that you probably not even heard of because you look very young. However, my mother did that for 40 some odd years, and sometimes she made, what's that called? Human error. Especially, she worked at AT&T. Your phone might, your three-way may not work for human error. So what's the difference in you programming the human error and me being in the car?
I think the difference is that the research shows that the cars are operating with more precision than the average human driver, and the data shows that. And I think that I heard you ask the young lady previously to provide that data, and I think that she'll do that. But also, I'll take it a step further. I'll provide you that data. And actually, I love this. I actually lead a trip to this facility each year, and I'd love to invite members on this committee to join me.
It got to be cheap because we can't have gifts.
You know,
we cannot have gifts.
Well, in some states we pay for it.
Okay, you cannot pay for us. You cannot pay for us. We would be happy to come, but we will pay for ourselves.
But I will send you an invitation.
Don't do that,
you.
but thank you.
Thank you.
You got more questions?
Further questions? Senator Weber, please proceed.
Very quickly, and this is a question I'm going to ask some other people, but since you're in public policy, if I'm going about my day and I get rear-ended by an AV, who's liable? Who do I?
If you are driving and you get rear-ended by an autonomous vehicle,
Yeah.
I think that the autonomous vehicle has to still follow the laws, regulations, and rules of the state of Missouri. So whatever your laws dictate is who would be responsible for the vehicle.
Okay, well, but this is kind of right now they can't drive, right? Like, so there's not a law, it's not settled right now. So it's something we're opening the door to. So we're going into a new world. And so my question is, in this new world, under Missouri law and under this, who would be liable for damaging my car?
I think that this bill could speak to that as we continue to figure out what it would look like for the people of Missouri.
Okay, so the answer is we don't know.
I wouldn't say that. The answer is that we're working on it. That's why I'm here to testify.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, real quick, Senator Washington.
Excusing the fact that you basically just said only rear ends. You ever been in a car accident?
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And who came to the scene?
The police.
And what did they do with you?
They asked me questions.
Who gonna ask the Waymo the question? Who gonna answer for Waymo?
Well,
at the scene?
I hear people laughing, but because this is a tech policy issue, there have been, on these very trips that I talked to you about, police chiefs in attendance, local law enforcement
Sir,
officials.
we ain't got that much time. Who gonna answer at the scene of the accident for the Waymo?
There are operators that are actually logged into the vehicle that are able to speak to
The human error people?
There are law enforcement that are able to speak to law enforcement officials, literally talking through the vehicle.
Okay, and does it videotape everything?
Yes, everything.
And clearly you would also possibly be liable for accidents that are not rear ends, correct? Because you said rear end as if that's the only way that Waymo would be at fault, and that's clearly not the only way that humans are at fault. So I didn't know if, you took the human error out, even though the human people program it or whatever. There have been other accidents that are not rear ends, correct?
I would imagine. Yeah.
Okay, if you can get us that.
I would.
Thank you.
And the data still shows that the Waymos are safer than humans.
All right, thank you very much for your testimony. We're going to go ahead and I want to make sure that we can get everyone in here, so we're going to reduce it to 30 seconds. Anyone else in favor? We've got 30 seconds. Mr. Paddock, go ahead and when you're ready.
Jewel Paddock, registered lobbyist for Alliance of Automobile Innovation, just to speak in favor of the bill. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for?
Thank you.
All right. Seeing none, thank you very much. Anyone else to testify in favor?
Mr. Chairman, Shannon Cooper today with the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. Just want to go on record in support of the bill. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
For the witness, thank you very much. Anyone else to testify in favor?
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Lori Becker, CEO, Starclough Disability Institute, here to speak in favor of the bill. May I have 1 minute, please?
Go ahead and continue. Proceed.
Thank you. My organization helps adults and youth with disabilities to launch and advance their careers. People with disabilities have transit limiting conditions. We have an unemployment rate that is twice of non-disabled people. Transportation is the #1 barrier that prevents us from getting jobs. Please help us enact this legislation that would allow 171,000 Missourians to be able to get to work every day by facilitating their transportation, at least between the first and the last mile. Sounds a lot like Senator Washington's trip to the library that is very challenging for many constituents. Services like Waymo will completely alleviate those types of situations. This is a personal issue for me due to being legally blind and having epilepsy and having taken over 1,800 Ubers over the course of its presence here in Missouri. I consider myself a professional pedestrian and passenger, and I am happy to answer any questions that you have when it comes to riding in a vehicle that is an Uber or a Lyft.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the witness? Thank you very much for coming here today.
Thank you.
Further testimony in support of Senate Bill 1050. Go ahead. Proceed.
Heidi Geist-Buehler-Sutherland here on behalf of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We're in support of the bill. From a business perspective, this could be a good economic driver. It helps get people to and from businesses and to and from their jobs. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Those in favor?
Jackie Barget, registered lobbyist here on behalf of the City of St. Louis and Mayor Spencer to also go on record in support of the bill. We are very excited that Waymo has chosen St. Louis for mapping. I will submit a letter from the mayor and keep my testimony short.
Thank you, ma'am. Further questions? Thank you very much. Further support, Senate Bill 1050.
Mr. Chair, my name is David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy for the Show Me Institute. I have prepared comments for all the members of the committee, so I'll just leave these here with my witness form, and with that, just 15 more seconds and I'll move. Strongly in support of clarifying that Waymo is allowed in Missouri, and also the part of the bill limiting how cities and counties could potentially pass legislation to prevent it. There's no guarantee that would happen, but we saw things like that with Lyft and Uber and VRBO and Airbnb, and not all of it was always bad, but I think some of it went too far, and so just that part of the bill is something I wanted to highlight. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony.
And again,
any further calls for those in favor? All right, we've got 30 seconds. Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Arnie C., AC Dino, State Public Advocate. I want to make sure that this bill 1050 has full safe proofs. I'm opposed also to semi-trucks and commercial vehicles. If there's a failure or a safety issue, there needs to be guarantees, and this service definitely provides a need. There needs to make sure that there's insurance, accountability, responsibility, and firm regulations. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none. Anyone else to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1050? All right, those opposed, go ahead and come up. Proceed when you're ready. Just by a show of hands, how many do we have left to oppose? Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time in the committee. I have some handouts, if you don't mind. I'm here on behalf of the Teamsters Union in opposition.
If you just hand them to Senator Washington here, we'll,
okay.
Or to Brian there, Lieutenant. Quick. Thank you very much.
In opposition due to safety and job killing, I just was hearing the great notes that Denver and Atlanta and Phoenix are taking away Uber and tax-paying citizens that have jobs for those companies.
Thank you, sir. I apologize, but your time is expired.
And the time's what?
Your time is expired. I'm sorry. Your time to testify in opposition?
Yes.
Is expired, yes. We went down to 30 seconds. We have to get out of this room because we have session going. Why don't you just wrap up your thoughts there very briefly?
Well, we're in total opposition of it with the included side of commercial vehicles being involved in it. The safety's not there. There's not any computer that's going to balance out what any human driver of tractor trailers and commodities, the 40 tons going down the highway, taking good paying jobs with good benefits from all over the country. That's not the resolve we need here with this kind of bill. It needs way, way more work than this.
And sir, does this include information in that
There's
regard?
a list of 50 things to start with on the sheet that I gave you that are mandatory done by a human being to pre-trip trucks, lug, engine failures, pipe, air hoses, everything.
Got it. Thank you
and
very
the
much.
other 50 are things that you have to do to go through with what the senator said about load shifting, tires, axles, brakes. There's a myriad of reasons that this is not so much the scenario.
Got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, Senator Weber, we got to be really quick though.
Yeah, I just wanted to, so I've got this list of things that you said. So under the bill, would it mandate that these inspection points happen? I understand that there's software and there's a person who may or may not be in India or China or wherever who's remote doing something, but is there going to be anybody under the bill as you read it that is required to do these pre-trip inspections, the compliance, these 100 acts that you're currently doing?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I think that the intention here is to have nobody in the unit from point A to point B. It would leave a yard loaded to go to a destination for delivery. Mm-hmm. To answer your question in brief, there would be no human to check for lug nuts, tires gone bad. If you're running across, which I've done 3 million miles in an over-the-road truck, 105 degrees, the temperatures on the highways are different, asphalt, tires need to be monitored. So if there's not a human being there to be able to check these issues, you're going to be without that. And across the state of Missouri is 300 miles? No driver, no checking tires, no checking brakes, no checking air hoses, and we're required to do that every couple of hundred miles to try to be as brief as I possibly can.
Did you happen to catch the football game, the Broncos Patriots?
I did.
Did you? Because I'm looking at one of the things on this list is deciding when it's unsafe to drive. Did you watch the second half of that game?
I did watch the second half of the game, and I came down here a couple years back, and we left Kansas City at one time, I think is where you're going with this, and that we left Kansas City, and it was 53, and got here, and it was about 13 and sleeting.
Yeah, I mean, that game was crazy. I mean, if the weather changed like that.
That's massive for commercial vehicles. That we read some data a little bit ago, about 1,000 people are killed in Missouri. They're not attaching that to whether it's bad equipment, tires. It's not just because MAD says that there's that many deaths. It's not all attached to that. There's equipment failures, things like that. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much for your testimony, Senator Washington.
I
Please
have
proceed
two quick
very briefly.
questions. One, how long does it take to be a CDL, to get your CDL?
you can get a CDL and have some work in 6 to 8 weeks. Usually programs
and what's
are
the
that.
average pay?
Average pay is somewhere average, I would say, in the $60,000 a year range, but that doesn't include, I work for the largest union
that's
carrier.
fine. That's
I work for the largest union carrier in the United States, and we were talking about shortages of drivers. And some people aren't getting into the industry because everybody doesn't pay like I get paid. They may go set 20 hours, 22, 23 hours for free in a sleeper, and the company's not obligated to pay them. Some people deter from this industry, and I take issue with the fact that people saying there's 80,000 drivers short in the United States or in the state of Missouri. There's 59 carriers that have gone out of business in the United States, carriers, trucking companies, in the last half a year. 59 carriers. So blowing the doors off with 80,000 short, I think that's smoke and mirrors.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you very
Appreciate you being here. Those further in further opposition, please proceed. We're at 30 seconds, sir. Just continue when you're ready. If you can, please be brief, so we can make sure we get all of your friends here as well.
We're gonna try to read through this real quick. How much money is Missouri making off this? Because there sure is a whole heck of a lot of money sitting in back of me to getting this going. So I'm hoping Missouri's going to make something, because they're going to be taking revenue out of everybody that's working, trying to drive these cars. You got nothing. Tesla ain't got this right yet, and we can read the papers every day. We still have major crashes, not just little running into fire trucks. We still have fatalities. We still use the GPS. We've got Waze. They have wrong turns. We have delays. This is also a real sneaky way to open it up and making the roads to heavy CDL traffic, as the person just said.
I'm sorry, sir, your time's expired. Can you just wrap up your thoughts real fast?
Money, job loss, still don't recognize motorcycles, bicycles, and a lot of pedestrians. It's not there. We still get killed. How about just bringing driver's education back into the schools? It's seat of the pants. A computer can't tell me when I'm driving.
All right.
Feel something's wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. Appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Those in opposition, let's continue. Proceed when you're ready.
Members of the committee, thank you for having me. Randy Albrahaski. I'm here as a personal injury attorney and for the Missouri Association of Trial Attorneys. Two big problems with this bill. First of all, Senator Weber's question earlier, no one is held responsible personally for the negligence of an automated driving system under this bill as written. It defines the driver as a software system and hardware. Those are not legal entities. I can't sue them. Second of all, there's not appropriate insurance coverage on this bill. It only requires $25.50, the bare minimum, which has not changed in Missouri since the 80s. Uber is required to have $1 million. They should have the same requirement for these automated vehicles as we require of Uber.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for? Okay, thank you very much. Seeing none.
Thank you.
Next, in opposition to Senate Bill 1050, just go ahead and begin when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mark Bryant. I'm a fireman with 25 years of experience. We do not have the time or the luxury to scan a QR code when we need to extricate a victim. Those minutes count. I can't be on hold when I need this vehicle shut down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for this witness?
Very quickly.
Yes, Senator, proceed.
So I just want to be really clear. So when you respond to a car accident or any sort of emergency, are you telling me as a firefighter, and you're telling this committee as a firefighter, that the process of scanning a QR code, getting on a remote call, may take time away that results from saving lives of Missouri citizens?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much for being here, sir. Those in opposition, let's continue. Just as a reminder, please make sure that we have our witness forms filled out. Just go ahead and begin when you're ready, sir.
I'm Jerry Wood, representing the Teamsters. We'll talk just real quick. One thing, if the drivers aren't taking the Uber home from a bar now when they're drunk, they're not going to take this home either. So I think that's kind of crazy they're going to do that. But the other, just for the big trucks, when we open it up to the big trucks and 80,000 pounds going down the road, I think we need to prove those trucks are safe, show how they can do what us drivers do, because driving a truck is not holding a wheel going down the road. They're also not going to be buying fuel. They're not going to be buying groceries. They're not going to be stopping at our restaurants. So there is an economic impact, a negative economic impact for every little restaurant up and down I-70, up and down 71. There are no drivers in those trucks to stop and spend money in our local economy.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much for your testimony. Anyone else to testify in opposition? Senate Bill 1050. Proceed when you're ready.
Lisa Panett, Armorvine. Although we're sympathetic to the barriers for transportation, I would refer to a video on January 7th, 2026, where a passenger fled a Waymo self-driving car in Phoenix after it became stuck on the train tracks as the train approached. The analysis on why the car might have responded that way was it was said that the car's navigation has a problem navigating edge cases or unusual, new, or unmapped scenarios. This is a dangerous proposition for Missouri.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony. Those in further opposition? Just make sure you have your witness form filled out, sir, and then go ahead and continue when you're ready, please.
My name is Zach Dunn. I am the Government Affairs Director for the Laborers Union here in Missouri. We represent about 12,000 workers that include construction craft laborers, public employees like bus drivers, trash pickup drivers, as well as police officers here in the state. On every level of membership that we represent, whether it's our police, our construction workers, our bus drivers, this bill actually has the effect of making it more unsafe to do their jobs, particularly when we think about construction where a majority of our members are represented. Lane shifts, grading, and everything else that changes daily on the construction site has the potential to lead these vehicles into an unsafe scenario. And so
Thank you
for
very
that
much.
reason, we oppose this bill.
Yeah, thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions? Seeing none. Anyone else to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1050? Anyone here for informational purposes only? That'll conclude our hearing on Senate Bill 1050. I'm going to turn this back over to the chair for the final.
Thank you, Senator. We're going to go to Senator Gregory for Senate Bill 1146. Proceed when you're ready, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Senator Gregory, Curtis Gregory, Senate District 21, before you, Senate Bill 1146. It's a bill that passed out of this committee last year unopposed. We have been working with parties to try and come to agreements on some issues that were in the filed legislation. Our wonderful drafting staff, we gave them a Hail Mary effort to try and get those changes in a substitute, to present a substitute before today. Was not able to get that done, but as soon as they get that wrapped up, I'll make sure to send those changes to the committee. But this bill is just mainly updating the port legislation that's been enacted since 1974. Four main issues: to protect and preserve public resources, to ensure that our port authorities continue to be responsibly managed and accountable to the people they serve, to promote economic development so that Missouri continues to attract and retain quality jobs, and to protect public safety. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions? Senator Washington, go ahead.
Hi, Senator.
How are
Just
you?
a quick question. One of the things that concerned my side of the state last time was Jackson County and the impact it has on the police, on our public schools. It's my understanding this time you've exempted Jackson County so that KCPS would not be as affected as it was in the original version. Is that correct?
There's been a lot of changes since we first got to committee last year. I think what we filed was the compromises that came out of the Senate committee substitute and/or the House version that made it over here is what we had filed. As far as your specific question relating to taxing on the school districts, I am not 100% positive, but I do think that was covered. I'm hopefully that Mr. Stevens can maybe answer that question further.
Okay, we definitely would appreciate that with this, from the school district perspective, because we get hit a lot. Thank you.
Any testimony here in favor of the bill? Please come on forward, and we'll give you the same 30-second timeline because we need to get out of here literally 7 minutes ago.
Quick.
So
I will be quick.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
brevity.
Senators. John Stevens, President and CEO, Port KC, Kansas City, Missouri. As the Senator said, this bill is back before you this year, this session. It makes ports more efficient, accountable, and safer. And to answer the question of what it does not do, it absolutely precludes any increased tax incentive powers for port authorities, the 19 port authorities through the state of Missouri that are vital for our economic development. What it does do is align our powers with the state economic development, DED, and it further allows better procurement and makes our port facilities safer through port rangers. Thank you.
thank you. Questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anybody else here to testify in favor? Hop up real quick.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Zach Pollock, registered lobbyist for the Missouri Port Authority Association. Appreciate the sponsor and interested parties working with us on getting some good language. And as long as that agreed upon language is in the substitute, we're in support.
Great. Any questions? Seeing none. Anybody else here to testify in favor?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Heidi Geis-Buehler-Sutherland here on behalf of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. Also in favor of the bill. River ports play a huge role in our supply chain, and we want them to have the resources and regulations they need to be able to serve our state.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Next in favor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Michael Grote, registered lobbyist appearing on behalf of J.E. Dunn in Kansas City. Clearly, we work on a number of these projects and appreciate your support of this legislation.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you for your testimony. Anybody else here in favor of the bill? Anybody here in opposition to the bill? Mr. Dienoff, stop sitting in the back corner of the room when you know you're going to testify on all our bills.
Thank you very much.
When you're ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, State Public Advocate. I have to oppose this because it is growing our government. It's expending more dollars. Port authorities are one of the most powerful in controlling authorities or political subdivisions in the state. They have a lot of ways to take income away from all political jurisdictions. It gives them the power to hire port rangers, which are law enforcement agents. It raises expenditure, approvals for bidding,
Mr. Dienoff.
creates advanced industrial manufacturing zone, growing and expanding power
close out your
control,
comments, Mr.
and
Dienoff?
eminent domain. I'm highly opposed to this bill.
Thank you. Any
Mr.
questions?
Chairman.
Seeing none. Anybody else here in opposition to the bill?
Once again, Zach Dunn with the laborers here in Missouri. We had been working in the interim with the Kansas City Port Authority to address some of the concerns that we have. Unfortunately, we've been kind of strung along, and last night in a hearing that we expected some stuff to get done, it didn't get done, and so with the language in this bill, I think there's some changes that we probably need to discuss, and so happy to work with the sponsor and our group with the building trades out of Kansas City to make sure that we address some of those concerns.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Further opposition? Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none, that'll conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 1146. Thank you, Senator. That'll, if I get a second, we'll adjourn. I get a second for adjournment. I got a second. All those in favor, aye. Aye. We're adjourned.